Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club, your number one stop for stellar reviews of volumes, arcs, or stories that us or yourselves choose. You can find us live every Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and the replay on all podcast networks. Take a seat, get yourselves and your opinions ready, as it's time to join the herd. But first, please put your hands together for your hosts, Shane, Phil, and Scott, as they kick off this week's discussion. Hello everyone, welcome to the Nerd Herd Comic Book Club. My name is Scott, if you haven't guessed already, and I'm also joined by my stunning co-hosts, one of which has a new haircut. I've got Shane up here.
Ahoy, hoy.
And I got Philip.
Hello.
Today as well. Yeah, he's the one with the new haircut, and he looks stunning. Today we are going to be talking about Paper Girls, Volume 1 from Image Comics. This covers issues 1 to 5 and was written by Brian K. Vaughan, art by Cliff Chiang, colours by Matt Wilson, and letters by Jared K. Fletcher. Before I go into the synopsis, let's have a quick hello. See who we got so far. Dominic's in from across the pond. He says, I'm ready. Thank you for joining, mate. Nice to see you on time. We got Martin here. Evening all. Hi, buddy. Thank you for joining. Lewis, what's good? Maybe this book. Maybe not. You'll find out soon. James is here. Hey, it's that time again. Yes, it is. 9:30. And we've also got the House of Nerd show. Hello, everyone. Hey guys, thanks for joining, and he says he's excited to catch us live. Thank you very much. Yes, so Paper Girls Volume 1. Let's see. So this story follows a group of 4 12-year-old paper delivery girls who uncover this sort of mysterious machine. After mysteriously losing all of their friends, their loved ones, and their neighbours, the girls were left to fend for themselves against futuristic beings with no clear agenda. You then go and realise that they are working for Apple or something, and it's just a wild ride all the way through.
You use the words there, no clear agenda, because I still don't know what on earth is going on.
And I think that's part of the charm about it as well. Dean's here as well. Buongiorno nerds, buongiorno Dino. Yeah, I think that's part of the the mystery and the.
Well, certainly the way this volume left things, like there's more to there's more to it. There's obviously more to tell of the overall plot. Yeah. I think this book didn't really focus on the overall plot as much. It's more about here's these 4 girls. They're getting together. There's unworldly events happening, and just like Stranger Things. Grown-ups can't save the day. Like the military, the army can't save the day. It's just down to these 4 youngsters. That's what I liked about it. But at the same time, what was going
on? Well, see, I get you, and I had the same thought as well throughout. Like, there is some sort of plot going on, but are we clear what that plot is? I'm not too sure. Did I enjoy it? Yes. Yeah. ... But I have kept in mind that this is a 30-issue story. Done. So maybe this was all, maybe this wasn't written as like, right, volume 1 will be this, volume 2 will be this. It's, look, these 30 issues will be this, and then we'll break it up into 5-issue chunks.
And that's the problem we've had with many graphic novels that we've read. They don't plan them out correctly anymore. They don't plan them out to be read as individual volumes, do they?
No. It's just
it's like this needed to grab you, and it halfway through I got interested. I became more interested. Like the beginning was slow and it was very by the numbers. You meet the girls, they're gonna get entangled in some mystery. But then halfway through, you find out the mystery is there's these time scavengers who come back to the past to get stuff to take to the future. And because I assume it's because they have broken the time barrier or whatever, that time is frozen. Apple, Steve Jobs sends people back to clear up the timeline by removing everyone from the timeline so they can do battle with the other scavengers.
Apart from the girls.
Without causing any damage. But the girls were standing next to the machine as it happened. So because they were next to a time machine, they were thrown out of time as well.
I get the whole thing now. You've cleared it all up for me. I understand now. Thank you. 10 out of 10.
As you guys well know, me and time travel in a book...
It's right up your street, mate.
It's not for me. However, this seemed quite basic, almost Back to the Future, simple time travel. The part where they had to go from one of those machines with their friend in them to go back to the one that's in the basement. Like that's like basic. That's keep it like that. Don't be getting too convoluted and adding all these different other timelines. Just keep it basic for me, and that's what I liked about it as well. That it didn't try too much. The science, don't science me. Don't science. Just keep it simple. Back in time, forward in time. Things happen. You're back at there. Grant. That's it. Don't do anything else.
Very simple way of time travel.
Exactly.
That's what I was enjoying the most. But then, like the final page, when they get sent to the future, I lost interest. I have to admit, I preferred it when it was happening in the past. Like. Volume 2 is not going to interest me now that they're in like 1999.
It'd be interesting to see how these kids from the 80s, react and have to deal with 90s
But it's
things.
going to work out perfectly fine because Max shows up in 99 and she's a grown-up, so we know that...
No, that was Erin.
Erin shows up, so we know that Erin's going to survive the whole ordeal, so threat gone. There you go.
Yeah, but she'll survive the whole ordeal up to that point, because that's the 90s. Like Apple, the wee device you had, like an iPod or something. That's the noughties. There's another 10 years still to go.
Yeah, maybe we're going to go even more into the future.
The funny thing is, I do cheat sometimes when I do this every week in terms.
Of course you do. We've seen the scoreboard.
We've seen your scores.
I don't mean like that. I just mean like sometimes I'll go to Goodreads or people on Instagram. And actually, Dean's in the chat now. I went back today and looked at his Instagram 3 months ago because I knew he had read the whole series. And the way he describes it is that Volume 1, in fact, Book 1, which is the first 2 paperback volumes, they don't explain everything. It's obviously meant to be explained the further you go on. And there are parts kind of will go over your head a little bit and won't make sense until you read the complete story.
And you do get a little sense of that in this with the time traveling machine because, you're reading it for the first time and you see issue 1 and you see that machine and it goes and, it was because I'm assuming now that we've read the whole thing, it's because they travelled back to that point and that's what caused this whole loop of a thing. Maybe. And, so we have had that kind of thing now already. Yeah,
I think so. Time travel. I told you, it baffles me sometimes.
But that came out of nowhere. The girls realizing that they should go back to the original machine from issue 1. Like they didn't figure that out. She just said it. She's like, perhaps we'll just go back to the first one and Erin will be in there. And it was like they didn't figure anything out. They didn't know that it was that sort of time traveling machine just because it looked the same. Why would you ever think that was the one that disappeared now?
Exactly.
Very convenient.
Because they did say like, oh, that wasn't the second one, that was the one. Like there only is one. You're right. So how did you come to that conclusion? She just kind of had like a bit of a mind blank all of a sudden and realised it, like light bulb moment. But as you say, convenient for the story. But again, that last page in the volume, it makes me want to read volume 2.
I do.
I like the idea that she's met her future self, and her future self. But it's so complicated. Her future self doesn't recognize her past self. It's like, hey, that's my name. It's like, yeah, that's you.
So,
do you not?
Yeah.
This is what leads me think as well, because Shane said, we see her in the future, so we know she's fine. Or is this like the first time in this timeline that it's happening? Yes, Phil's head is hurting already. Do you know what I mean, though? Like, if she doesn't remember this situation, then this hasn't happened for older Erin.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So we get different timelines. So
yeah. But see, when you saw the leg step out the car on the final issue, the final few pages, because Hockey Stick was missing from the bridge at the end, she'd fallen in the water. Yeah, I don't know the girls' names. I have them written down as Hockey Stick, Walkie Talkie, Got Shot, and Homophobe. I don't know their names. I refuse to learn them throughout the book. But she was missing from the bridge. So when I saw the leg step out the car, I thought she had fallen out like a decade earlier. And maybe that was the grown-up version of her getting out of the car, come to the bridge to meet them. I thought maybe she had fallen out through the timeline slightly earlier, which would have been quite interesting. Had one of their friends aged because she had been thrown forward in time, but not as far as them.
That was my first thoughts too.
Yeah, that'd have been cool.
But again, another thing that you're left wondering what happened to her. What one was
where'd
it?
she go?
KJ?
Yeah,
was
KJ.
The one that... Yeah, so like, what happened to her? Because, you know, where is she?
I think she fell in the water next to the bridge.
One of them went in the water, yeah.
Oh, so she... Oh, right, okay. I missed that. There we go.
So you know when they're all like, you know when you get that massive colourful page where they're all just falling through something, one of them is in water. So we assume that it's KJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think she just missed the bridge by like 5 feet.
There was a very complicated part when they did say, like, imagine you were standing on the stream and you went back in time to the same part in the stream and you're in some sort of like
you'd be in space, the vacuum of space.
So what they were trying to say is you can't just travel time, you have to travel space as well, because if you just travel time and you stay in that one spot, the planet is still moving. So if you time travel and stay right here, you will travel, like, if you travel an hour, you will be on a different part of the planet, or maybe not even on the planet.
So it's like Superman Red Sun, you know, because, like, you know, if this ship didn't land in the US of A, landed 8 hours later in a different spot, no idea. I get
something like that. Yeah. Well done.
I'm there.
So when the girls' time,
welcome to the Nerd Herd Science Club.
Coming soon.
So when the girls did time travel, though, they still landed on Earth. All right, they were in a different place, but that was lucky, wasn't it? Because they could have just landed in the vacuum of space and an end of Volume 1. Bye.
Yeah, just
see the girls just floating in space, just dead.
Yeah. Okay, so what did you think artistically then? Like, what do you think of the art, of the colours in this story?
I liked it. I liked the palette they used. You can obviously pinks, like baby pink and maybe baby blues throughout, you know. And I like pink and blue, and it was nice. But the art's kind of typical, I think, of a lot of indie books, especially with Image, where it looks basic, but also it's like, remember like Skyward, for example.
Yeah.
It was basic at times, but yet what it needed to have a good bit of detail had it. Especially when like went into the sewers and stuff, into the woods, you can see a lot of detail. You know, wasn't smooth lines. It was quite rough, but not like not dirty, like clean at the same time.
If you're comparing this to Skyward, I think Skyward would be a bit better art-wise, like a detail or maybe clarity. But yeah, you know, this is based in the 80s, and we saw some cool 80s, you know, style things. You know, the time traveling machine, even though it was from way in the future, it fit in this kind of time era. That's the word I'm trying to say. Fit in this era. And yeah, just things like that. But, you know, like the details. We had a lot of like panels where it was just very bright colours in the background. That's all it was in the background, and then all the characters in there were just one other flat colour to contrast that. Like there's one here, it's pink in the background, and then Mac is there, her face and hair and her head are green, so that contrasts quite well with the pink. And then you've got a yellow background where KJ's being hit by the scavengers, and she's like they're like quite pinky brown, so again that contrasts quite well. I like that. Basic, but I like it.
Lewis has said in the chat that the art was simple but effective, and that's probably the good way to put it. Like, it's not. It does seem simple to us, you know, the simple minds, but it looks really good. it's effective and visually appealing, certainly.
Yeah, definitely. Dean says he loves Chiang's artwork. I'm definitely a big fan. Dean, could you tell us what other stuff he's done?
Wonder Woman New 52.
Is it?
And his work on there is great. His work on Wonder Woman New 52 is fantastic. It's a lot. It's not a lot. I wouldn't say a lot, but there is a difference in quality between his art in this and his art in Wonder Woman. And I don't know.
Wonder Woman better or worse?
Wonder Woman is better slightly, and I don't know why. Maybe he had more time, but I think it's slightly better in Wonder Woman. But one of my notes is the star of this book is the colors. The colors are fantastic in this.
Oh yeah.
Throughout the entire book, the colors are great.
Speaking of the start of the book, I got massive like saga vibes straight away because we're in that kind of dream scene, aren't we? And she's like on the moon, I think, with an apple, and the Earth is in the background, and then this astronaut with wings pops up, and then you've got the scene with the devil poking her sister through the face, and it's just weird. But it definitely grabs you as an issue 1, I think, and you're like, what the hell was that? But then you realise it's all a dream, and then you carry on normally.
Yeah, I was getting saga vibes as well from that, and I realised it's the same guy, it's the same writer. So yeah.
Wait a minute.
I thankfully was not getting saga vibes from issue 1. That's why I continued reading.
That's why you kind of liked it. Shall we go onto our pages?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Philip, we'll start with you.
The main thing for me for this page, I mean, I know Mac was a bit loose in some of her words at times, but I quite liked her attitude. I quite liked the way she was a cheeky mare, and I just sitting here, she's smoking. She's got the kind of like scrunched up face, and she's blowing the cigarette smoke to the side, and she's kind of giving this cop attitude, which I'm assuming like must be a dad or something, or an uncle, because obviously she must know him some way.
But he knows her brother. Her brother's a troublemaker.
Knows what it is. That's what I mean. Just the idea that she's just like their attitude towards the cops. But again, the art's visually pleasing too, with the lights and stuff, and even the panel with the sheriff or the officer at the bottom. The lights behind him, it looks very daunting. But it also has a tattoo of I forget what they call them. What do you call with the ladies on their arms? What's that called?
Burlesque.
No, the kappa flaps.
I can't remember what the word I'm looking for, but yeah, I just thought this page just looked really cool. And yeah.
Speaking of Mac being cool, a couple of pages on after this, and that she threw her cigarette away and said something or did something, whatever, and then before I read Erin that she's with saying that's so cool or you're so cool, I also said in my head you're so cool, and then I read it you're so cool. I was like, this is so cool.
It's so cool.
So cool. Here we go again. It's so cool. But yeah, cool pick. Surprisingly it wasn't a splash page, and you've just gone for like a normal panelled page.
Yeah, because you said a few weeks ago you're trying not to do splash pages, and I felt
you're trying to be cool like me. Okay, I get it.
No, I just don't want to be the only guy who puts splash pages on. So
right, okay. Well, anyway, I'm putting a splash page on. Here's mine. Here's my page. This is when they're in the sewer. I think it's like issue 3 or 4. And all of a sudden you turn the page, and this is not what you expect to see. It's this giant floating green monster with
marshmallows,
green tentacles, and square eyeballs on the end. And it's just, this was like my what the F moment, like turning this page, and it was just cool. And I'm a big fan of D&D, and I play D&D, and this gave me like big like spectator beholder vibes. And yeah, it was just really fun and impactful, and the color on it, like again, contrasts really well with the background and everything else that's going on. So this creature really pops out. I really like that.
I feel like I don't want to ruin your page for you. I feel like
I think I've earned it, to be honest.
Yeah, it just sticks out like a sore thumb, which you'd argue is a good thing. It's meant to be like a monster of some sort. I just feel like it doesn't belong in the book for some reason. Like it's too bright.
Right.
It's too strange. And like I say, those eyes or whatever they were meant to be, they look like marshmallows on a stick. over the campfire type of thing. You know, that's what they look like.
Right. Okay. Well,
I think it looked cool.
Acknowledge your opinion, and I prefer Shane's. So, okay, Shane, we'll go over to your page.
Yes, I picked this for the colours mostly. I just love the portal opening, which I assume is the time portal because you have like the pterodactyl style dinosaurs coming through. But I also like the guy at the top just taking his mask off, and just the look on his face as he's just realising the sky's
Terminator,
opening.
Right? Terminator?
Possibly.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
I
mean,
what year was this based?
88.
88. Yeah, could have been the first Terminator movie. Yeah. But it's his face under the mask that gets me. The eyes.
Yeah.
I think this character didn't, like, he died too soon, or whatever happened to him too soon, didn't it? It's like
they're not dead. They're just collected, aren't they?
Yeah, but you thought they would have, like, he would have played in a more important role, like Steve Jobs.
Why? Steve Jobs? He was just someone to look up at the sky.
Yeah, wasn't
Steve Jobs collected him in a tube.
He was the one. The girls came to him at some point, and they got such and such he could help us, and then they turned around, he was gone.
No, that was a different guy in a werewolf mask.
Was it not him?
No, different.
I'm terrible reading books these days. I had a nightmare last week. Nightmare again this week.
Christmas, we're getting you a pair of glasses.
Yeah.
Right, there we go. Yeah, so thank you very much for those pages. We have one sent in today from Connie, and surprise, surprise, it's the same as Shane's page. Here we go. So I asked her, why have you picked this page this time? And she says, honestly, it's just sick. The apocalyptic vibes, the colours, it's just pretty cool. So she said, thank you very much, Connie. You know, it's a good a reason as anything else. So yeah, thank you very much to Connie for sending that in. If you guys ever read any books in the future along with us, do send us your favourite pages, because we love to show them and we love to get everyone else involved. Let me catch up on the chat a little bit. Chris is here, from off my shelves. I think his line work, speaking of Chiang, is a little looser than Wonder Woman, which was very straight and clean.
That's probably why I preferred it in Wonder Woman then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Good call.
Luke Jones is here. Hey, thank you very much for joining. Hope you're doing okay. And Dina's saying that guy's face in that panel, I make every time I get a work email asking me to do something. Like,
that's my face whenever every time I get a message from Scott asking me to do something.
What? I never ask you to do anything. Okay, so yeah.
After 2 years, Phil, we've learned our lesson. We don't ask you to do anything.
I'm smart.
Apart from correctly read and score a book.
Yeah.
That's our only requirement.
He can't even do that now, so what good is he?
Damn it. Sorry, Phil. We're looking for a third member. Yeah. You got there. Okay, story time. What do you think of the writing? I've already touched on a few things that I liked.
I did enjoy the kind of characterizations, the way the girls spoke with one another and the way they kind of dealt with stuff. But I need to bring this up because so see the guys who were on like the pterodactyls and the white suits with the spears or whatever, like,
yeah,
what language is that? Old English? Are they pirates?
No,
like what are they? What are they?
English.
I have a note for that. They sound just like the Belters from The Expanse. Does anyone watch The Expanse?
No.
That's what the Belters sound like. They're like so far removed from Earth. They still speak English, but it's like a broken English. And that's all I could hear in my head when I was reading them speak.
This is what I was thinking, because this little communicator thing they had, the little device they had, by the way, which isn't very futuristic, they have to carry around, you know, even though it is, but it isn't at the same time, you know, like, you have to carry something around. I just felt like maybe they've been back the Earth at a certain time, I know, the 18 or the 1600s or something, where they spoke like this, and that's what they've picked up. And that's why they're using it, but then they realize that these girls don't speak this way, so they speak differently.
No, because the Steve Jobs character speaks perfect English, doesn't he? So he speaks perfect English when he's speaking to them over the radio. It's just their language that's broken.
Yeah, because it does seem like in the little scenes you do see, I'm going to say, with Steve Jobs, it does look like he's on Earth, or some sort of Earth setting, and then so
Just
it
a
could
collection of kids around him, like
Yeah, he's in a genius bar, isn't he? Just,
Yeah.
it's just. How do you think Apple products are made? You steal people from the past, grind them up, and put them in a phone.
Wow. Oh, okay. Whoa. Dean's asking. Here's a question: Did anyone else read that language in a Scottish accent?
There were a few words definitely were Scottish. Yeah, definitely.
And Chris is saying it's difficult to judge the writing as it's intentionally confusing and mysterious. The story and characters didn't really take an understandable form for a bit. Yeah, it was definitely interesting, and it's I see stuff like that, and it's always fun trying to decipher for yourself. What they're trying to say. It was like I noticed they had like the word like clearly. It was like clearly ain't or something like that, but it was like clear yain't. Those are the two words. So it was quite cool just moving that the letter from the last word onto the next word and just little bits like that. I thought it was quite cool.
It's like say the language they use is the one thing that that didn't grip me, but I understand what Chris is saying. It's meant to be like this for a while.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of this book overall. That reading just the first volume, you're not going to really pick things up. You just kind of have to go along with the flow, go with the ride, and just enjoy it. And like I say, for the most part, I did. It's just trying to kind of apply logic. Doesn't work here. Just don't try to apply logic to this. It's not logical yet. No. Maybe it will.
Maybe. Shane, did you? I think you've raised an issue with this type of stuff in previous books we've read. The fact that they've just made up characters, like for the letters that they've, the mysterious language they were writing.
Yes. Far too much of it again.
Still a problem?
There was just too much of it again, wasn't there? Like, you're having them have a conversation with each other in this language. That makes no sense for me to observe that.
Yeah.
Especially when the girls aren't there to observe it. So that's just for the reader to be annoyed at. If the girls are there and they're talking this language, that's fine, because I shouldn't understand it the same as the girls. But when they're talking to each other without the girls present, they are just talking to each other. So I should be able to understand that as a reader. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally.
You can then switch back to their language when the girls are present because they can't understand it. So to go with the story, I then can't understand them either.
Yeah. So recently I read Radiant Black. Okay, I got the trades for that. And in the back, if you haven't read Radiant Black, there is a weird, a computery type language in this story, and you can't tell heads or tails what it's saying. But at the very last page of the volume, it has this means A, this means B, this means C. So you can go ahead and decipher it yourself if you wanted. But what I'm trying to say is something like that would have been appreciated. If they're not going to translate it for you in the story, then at least give us something that can help us translate it if we wanted to.
I kind of get what Shane's saying, but also if they were speaking to themselves in normal English, then whenever they were speaking the different language with the girls, it wouldn't. You'd be more kind of irked, I think.
That's what the asterisk is for. You just say translated from future tongue, and then that's fine.
This is true, but I just think maybe that they're looking for more of an impact that way.
Yeah. Well, maybe don't have them speak then until the girls are present, so that you're learning with the girls that you cannot understand what these people are saying. Because to follow these characters through the small little town small little street that they're being chased through, they're talking to each other. The girls aren't present, but they're clearly talking to each other, and I can't understand them. So that annoys me, and it might be on purpose. It might be put in there to annoy the reader, but just don't have them talk.
See, I thought there was going to be a point where I was going to be able to decipher it myself, because I think it was the second issue when it was there was a walkie-talkie saying Ben is down or something like that. I was like, okay, right, Ben. Right, okay. So then it goes, I've got B, I got E, and I got N. So I go to the, where the chat, where they go, oh no, Ben, are you okay? That's what I'm assuming they're saying. So I was like, right, okay, that must be his name, right? Those are the characters for B, E, and N or whatever. And then I was like, right, can I try and... Nah, it didn't work.
Yeah,
it didn't work.
No.
But
I would not put that much effort into a book.
But I thought they were going to leave enough breadcrumbs for hopefully me to do it myself. But obviously, wishful thinking, and that didn't work. Connie's here. Hello, sorry. I'm back. I had a phone call. The lack of ability to translate them annoyed me too. It's okay. Was it a good phone call?
We want your full attention for this hour. It's 1 hour. 1 hour once a week. Full attention, please. I'm just joking.
Was anyone else thrown by the fact that the Apple logo just shown up at the end of issue 1, and then this whole book was now because of Apple?
I mean, I don't think it was it? Like, we keep. I'm calling him Steve Jobs. I don't think it was the Apple Corporation that was doing this.
It was the Apple logo, mate.
I think it's just Apple has become so big in the future that it's just something everyone has now.
Yeah.
I don't think.
So it was Apple.
As an Apple user, I don't want to think that Apple has mastered time travel and is going back in time kidnapping people.
Wouldn't put it past them, mate.
Plus,
they've already added the time machine feature on their Macs, haven't they? So
also, at some point in the future, Apple have taken out Bill Gates and Microsoft. So that's a book I want to read. See how they took him down. He's not in control then, like he is now. So
that's in Paper Girls Volume 2. That is, mate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You have to read on now. So, anyone surprised? I was.
Yeah, surprised that they actually used the real logo as well, because usually it's like a banana or a pear or a strawberry or something, isn't it, in comic books?
Yeah.
They don't really use the actual Apple logo. But I'm surprised they got away with it, because if it does turn out that the Apple Corporation is evil, I'm pretty sure there will be some lawsuits coming their way.
Brian K. Vaughan would be like, called it. I called it. Read this book.
Yeah, because that's the TV the television show adaptation was on Amazon Prime. Why not Apple TV? You don't try to say
Apple wouldn't produce. Have you seen the quality Apple produces? They don't produce stuff like this.
No.
Wait, are you saying Apple produces better?
Yes, Apple. Right. The quality of Apple movies and TV shows through the roof. They don't just put any old crap on their streaming site.
World Comic Reviews, he's saying they sent Bill Gates into the future, so he was floating in space.
Good.
Nice.
Leave him there.
That's clever. Yeah.
I see. I was enjoying. Like I say, I was enjoying it. At the beginning, I wasn't so much, because I thought, oh, this is just going to be like Stranger Things, some girls and a mystery. I didn't think anything supernatural or like magical, scientific was going to happen. I thought it was just going to be like a Nancy Drew type story, maybe, someone gets killed or something like that. And then when it turned into like the Borg from the future coming back, kidnapping and stealing stuff, I was like, I'm in full steam for this. This is what I want. And then I was so enjoying it, and it's set in the 80s, and who doesn't have nostalgia for the 80s? I love it. And then they jumped to the future, like I say. Well, yeah, Scott wasn't born in the 80s, so he doesn't know. But I was like, 80s? Yes. It's only the best decade ever.
I wasn't there, so
that's why it was the best. No, I'm joking.
Walked into that one. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Burn. But yeah. But what if they're not in the 90s for long? What if they're just there for one issue? Like, the end of this could just be a hook, and they go, "Hello, I'm older. You. What the hell are you doing here? Oh no, never mind. Oh, what's that weird machine over there? Okay, bye." And then they're back in the 80s.
Then I would probably read on, but I'd need someone to confirm that first.
Oh, right. You want that. You don't want to read to find out. You want to...
No.
Right.
No, I don't want to accidentally get hooked on volume 2.
See, I went into this completely blind. With the Amazon Prime series, which, again, people talk about, I wanted to watch. I didn't want to go into that blind, so I wanted to read this first volume before I watched the show. But... again, as Shane had said, the whole kind of like, time travel, pterodactyls coming from a hole in the sky, like it just was not what I expected whatsoever. I just expected, like Shane said, a young group of girls solving crimes of some sort, or myths and legends or something. Not like time travel and people who speak a weird variation of Scottish, Caribbean, and God knows what other languages there are there. So, but my overall feeling is that, as I mentioned before, I think you just have to go with the flow of this, and that's why I do want to read on. I'm just going to go with it and accept the madness that is, because there's no point trying to understand it. Just go with it.
I kind of want to read on and see how Mac copes in the 90s, where she can't use her 80s homophobic slurs as often as she likes. You know, it'd be quite interesting to see her having to watch what she says, because she's a gobby little cow that's going to get a slap in the 90s if she opens her mouth like that. Do you know what I mean? She's not going to get away with it.
That's part of her charm, in a way, that she has the attitude where she wait.
So
like she has the attitude where she doesn't care what she's saying. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what I mean.
Yeah. And it can be quite endearing to a character, but there are certain things that even writers shouldn't be putting in books. People stay away from the N word. I think it's about time we started staying away from the F word. Like, it doesn't offend me, but just seeing it in a book, it just makes me roll my eyes. And because it's the 80s and you have to have the age things in there as well, like, the misconceptions and stuff like that. And I just rolled my eyes. And then every time she spoke after that, I was just like, I don't care what you have to say anymore. I have no respect for you as a character. The writer has completely nullified you, in my opinion. So I don't care what happens to her. I don't care if she dies, gets her head exploded, turns into a ball, whatever. I don't care, because in one issue, you managed to completely just turn her against, like, a certain percentage of your audience.
Yeah.
Can I just say, obviously, because you referred to the words that she's used, and I do think Mac was my favorite character, not for that reason, but just it was more because she seemed to have more of a backstory, like with her dad and her stepmom being like an alcoholic. I feel like they were trying to put more weight behind her to lift her to a certain level, and I feel like as a reader, I bought into it more than anything she's saying that's obviously derogatory or whatever. But I like them all, but I think she had more meat on the bones type of thing for her. So,
Shane, you've had two people now. You've had Chris saying to read on because of the whole 80s thing, and you want that back, and so that's good news. And then you've also had Dean as well saying the homophobic language is addressed. Trust in Brian K. Vaughan. So, yeah, trust in that, mate.
Maybe if you tell me how many issues they're in the 90s for, maybe I'll quickly go through them and then get back to the 80s. Maybe. But one more thing. I wish it had slowed down a bit, because I like the idea that Mac's mother thought that they were being raptured. Yeah. If they had played into that for an issue or two, really stretched it out a bit. So you do, because they were turning around and someone was gone. That is very Rapture-esque. And I like that idea. That would have been quite fun just to play on. Obviously, it's not how the story goes, but for the girls to think that for a while might have been quite interesting. To then think to themselves, maybe I am a bad person. I'm left behind. Why am I not being taken? That could have added some character growth. Like, the mother had amazing character growth, and she was in it for 3 pages before she tried to shoot herself in the head. That was great.
Yeah. It was interesting that, and like Phil said, Mac did have the most concerning family dynamic.
See, that's why I think like all her kind of attitude and things she's saying, it's more like a front, because deep
defense.
It's like deep down at home she has her own kind of issues to sort out, and like I say, the thing she does and says, that's like, you're right, defense mechanism. That's why I like her. It's just more intriguing. Yeah.
A 12-year-old who has attitude, smokes, and tries to take control of situations.
And who's well known by the police.
Yeah, who's well known by the police, may have some issues at home, and that is shown. And I think that was good.
I do have one issue just on that. You mentioned 12-year-olds. Is it common in the US of A for 12-year-olds to get up at 4 a.m. to go deliver newspapers?
Look,
I wouldn't want my kids leaving the house at 4 a.m.
I was 13 when I had a paper round, when I started my paper round, and I was getting up. I wasn't getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but it was like 5:30, 6 a.m. And as a 13-year-old, that sucks. So seeing that,
like you're £10 a week. Just the way people are wearing them.
yeah. So seeing that at the start of this book, I was like, oh, I feel for you. Like, I know exactly what that feels like, and that sucked. So I was like, I'm also glad I'm not there anymore, delivering papers at 6 o'clock.
It's funny because there could be a lot of readers who are, say teenagers reading this book, wondering what on earth is a paper round? What is that?
Yeah,
Like we barely have papers these days. No one really
people
buys.
go and deliver Facebook and Instagram posts.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
Knocking on your door, swiping for you. Oh my gosh.
We've got a bit of a good discussion going on in the comments. We got Connie. She's saying, going back to you, Shane, with the F word. It feels like the F word appearing in books written like in the noughties onwards sometimes feels like a chore for the author to say it rather than adding it to the story. Like there are other ways to show prejudice. Sorry. Chris says he couldn't agree more. There are so many other ways to give a sense of time and culture without slurs like that. And that said, her character is the best in terms of development. And how should I say she aggressively repressing feelings?
Oh, is she going to turn out to be a lesbian? Is that why she's so anti-gay in the book? I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it? Look at the haircut.
Have you called it? have you called it?
Yeah, I'm calling it now. She's gay.
You got to read on, mate.
I haven't. I'll just go to Wikipedia.
No, you have to. You got to read. You got to read on. No.
We're going to have volume 2 for sequels month next year.
Yeah. Next year.
There you go. Yeah.
And then we'll do 2, 3, and 4, and then viewer's choice. We'll do 5, and then we may as well do 6.
May as well finish it.
Paper Girls wave. Yes, that's what we need.
Paper Girls Month. That's what you need. You need it, Shane. You need Paper Girls Month. Okay.
Yes.
I did like the way that they naturally met up. It felt natural to me. We start off with Erin, then we follow her, and then she's gonna get picked on by the looks of it, and then this other group of girls who have banded together. Mac starting the girl paper delivery revolution, and then they band together, then don't they? And Erin just kind of joins that group, and then it does feel quite natural to me.
The thing is, why are there so many paper delivery girls for such a small area? They don't travel a great distance. I feel like one person could have delivered to all those houses, unless they each work for a different newspaper.
But then
how many newspapers does a small town have?
The book would be completely different if there's one paper girl. It's like one person taking on this threat. So we need the 4. We had to have the 4, so that's it. But stop thinking too much about it. There's 4 paper girls and 1 street. That's enough.
I do feel though like this could have just been 4 boys as well. Like there was nothing distinct about the story that needed 4 girls to be doing this. This could have been boys, and nothing in the story would have changed. Yeah, or a mixture. Like there was no need to just have 4 girls.
Maybe I didn't think about it that way, but I was thinking in terms of Stranger Things. Like this is definitely like its own genre. Youngsters taking on unworldly threats, and maybe with Stranger Things initially. And obviously, I know 11 was a girl, but initially it was the 4 boys. So maybe they just wanted to do the opposite of that.
Maybe.
And I say that guy who was wearing the werewolf hat, which I thought was the guy who was killed. Maybe he'll come into it at some point later on. But I did think the way they all met was just super quick.
It was quick, yeah.
But I feel like it needed to be that as well. And can I just say that the boys who were harassing her at the start, like what real jackasses. Like I think one of the lines was like, I can't remember the line, referring to there was grass and whatever it was, and it's like this is just
that's
come on.
Yeah, I don't like it when the writers put things like that in. It's like that's a 12-year-old girl, dude, and you wrote that. Like you're the writer, you chose to put that in there.
Yeah,
didn't like it.
No, I didn't like that.
That was too much.
It was completely inappropriate, and you don't need to put things like that in a book.
You do need it, and like Chris said above, like you can show a theme and an era without slurs and phrases like that. Just don't put it in. And like I don't understand the mindset that puts a writer at like that to write stuff like that. It
tells you there's something up there that's wrong. Something up there is broken.
If you can remember with Saga, there was a line, something along the lines like, I came like a dump truck. Like they're quite vulgar. And for some reason, with Saga, that works. If you know what I'm trying to say. Whereas this,
yeah, but that's not age inappropriate. That was a grown man saying that, which is absolutely
No,
fine.
that
He
was
wasn't
her.
talking about a child. Yeah, so she wasn't talking about a child. You know, this was a teenage boy talking about a 12-year-old girl, and it's completely inappropriate and unneeded and unnecessary in a book written in 2015. Come on, dude,
This is what
write
I
things
was
like that.
thinking. Keep that kind of vulgarity to the Saga where it kind of belongs. Where this book, which I would imagine is aiming towards young girls to read as well.
But does Saga even get into that realm where they like sexualize children like that? I mean, I know there's the slave girl, but they're trying to get her off the slave planet. But it's like this was just out of nowhere. It just came like, and so early in the book as well.
But this is the point I was trying to make. Sorry, was that it happened once, and then that was it. Like it felt out of place. Like if they had like continued this theme of being vulgar throughout, you can kind of like say, well, it has a place where this didn't. Like it wasn't. You can think in the grand scheme of things isn't the worst thing you could say in a book, but it just didn't seem to fit in, and they didn't carry that on throughout the rest of the 5 issues.
No, and it could have been edited out. The editor should have caught that and been like, "We're not putting that in a book."
I totally ignored everything you said there. I was trying to think of something else to say. Yeah, I mean, you were talking about a different book. I'm here to talk about this. I liked 2 scenes. The one where Erin gets shot, not because she got shot, but I like it when kids are pretty much forced to do adult things, but then there's this slight comedic thing about it, like when they had to then drive a car. So then you do see, a bunch of 12-year-old girls in a car, but then, they're handling the whole thing quite responsibly. They got Mac holding pressure, and then you got, I can't remember the name of the girl that was driving, but she was driving, she was doing her best, and I think, I enjoyed that scene. And then, where Erin was hallucinating and she sees her dad. That was quite nice, I think. And he was saying stuff like, where is it?
Is this the part where his head's in his hands and he kind of lifts his face up and it's all like melting away?
No, that was later on. I have no idea what that was. That was weird.
Yeah,
that was just weird. A whole page of just weird.
Yeah. Was that her dad she sees? I thought that was President Nixon. Right.
Oh yeah, sorry, it was. My bad. Anyway, he says something like, "Not everyone who gets shot dies."
Yeah, it was President Nixon, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I'm going over. I'm like, that was her dad. Bad. I was like, wow, I really misinterpreted that dream.
I know. Sorry. Yeah, my bad. Anyway, it was cool. I like the flashback, and you have them all you have them ice skating. And in the background, you've got like this laser fight between a spaceship and some rockets, like some nukes and whatever, and it's just mental and just the whole thing's weird. And then the other scene I liked then was when the big green monster shot the girl Tiffany or something. I can't remember her name.
Tiff.
Yeah, Tiff. Shot her in the shoulder. Oh no, it was strangling her, wasn't it? And then you had the whole her whole life flashback, and it was her just playing that brick breaking game over and over and over again. And that was just, even though that's a quick 8 pages, it's so cool. And I spent some time looking at them, and they were all quite colourful. And
but she says she was wasting her life away. That's a great life to sit and play video games. I would love to go back to my teenage years and not have responsibilities and just sit and play the Nintendo or whatever. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. Connie's saying she would have loved this book as a teenager, to be honest. I probably would have picked it up and gotten into comics a lot earlier because I always saw comics as a very male-dominated fandom, which it kind of is. Yes,
that's true.
You're right. And we have Pete here. Evening. Thanks for joining, buddy. Doesn't matter if you're late, as long as you're here. That's fine. Yes. And we have a comment from Chris as well. He says, I think Vaughan wanted to explore a dominant female cast in this story, as it hasn't been done really. If their gender actually makes a difference by the end is sort of up to you and your... Wait for it. Interpretation. Hey, we got one. We haven't done that in a while. Thanks, everyone.
I think female dominant casts have been done in comic books for years. I mean, there's been a comic book series called Birds of Prey since like the late 90s, which is all female.
But nobody read that. It's
I mean,
Captain
it only ran for
Marvel's really
126 issues. It obviously wasn't that popular. Yeah, Captain Marvel ran for like 6 issues, so that's like obviously super popular.
Really, really good. Yeah. I know you love that one so much.
But to be fair, I know obviously you mentioned Birds of Prey, but I don't think I could mention a female dominant team book, I suppose, really.
Team.
Yeah. Can't think of one.
A-Force?
A-Force, yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
I mean, if you're
Well done. It's not the quiz. This is not the quiz.
Yeah,
this is not count.
Damn it.
No points here.
I mean, Wonder Woman's had her own comic book since like 1941, so she's kind of a pretty dominant female member.
You don't need to name all female books. It's just like I do get like Connie said there, like she would have read this as a youngster if it was out back when she was young in 2006 or whatever she was.
Yeah. Going back to the art, I did take a little screenshot of the time traveling machine shooting off.
What does that look like? No, it's not.
It was like a really swirly time traveling machine.
It looks like something dirty.
Look, I have no idea what you're talking about. It looks really cool, okay? Take your mind out, look at it. But after that, when we do see where they go, so for anyone who hasn't read it or needs reminding, this is when the time scavengers take Erin off into the future to heal her from a gunshot wound. So what was confusing was when they get wherever they're going, you expect some sort of uber futuristic, medical machines or, fancy spray or a tablet or whatever, but no, you see her like stomach covered in these bugs to help heal the gunshot, and I found it really weird. So it's interesting, and I would really like to read on purely to just see what Brian K. Vaughan's perception of the future is for this story, and what other wacky things are involved in it.
Because they were I'm assuming they were in the Amazon warehouse, because that's where they show up, and they just take stuff off the shelves to get her better. They're nanites, aren't they? The bugs that are on there. They're not real bugs. They're computers. They weren't living bugs.
I thought they were real bugs.
They were like computer bugs designed to make her better. But I did like when they showed up to take her to get her better. They're like, we'll help her, we'll make her better. And they follow them into the woods, and they're like, yeah, this is such a great idea, following these guys into the woods.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's like the 80s, we were told, don't go off with strangers, no matter what, And they're just walking into the woods with these two guys with bits hanging out of their faces, and they can't understand the language. It's like, seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah.
How did they die? I can't remember, did they explain it? Because they all of a sudden were just were stuck in the walls of this space-time travel thing, and then...
Yeah,
they were getting hunted down, weren't they, by a particular authority, and I think they got shot, or one of the time scavengers was kind of messing with the buttons, because he says something like messing with the tributary like that is suicide, and he's like, so is staying put, and then after that something happens, it looks like they've been shot or hit or something, and you don't see anything after that. So I'm assuming that kind of...
No, they jumped without the exact coordinates. That's why they jumped. He rushed it to get away, and as they jumped, they were sort of merged into the wall, like in Star Trek, where they don't get the transporters right and they end up in walls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I just feel like there was a shift when they landed, and they moved. The ship stayed where it was, and they moved.
Right.
See, I just think there were too many moments in this book where I was slightly confused, and it's not clear. But again, as someone mentioned in the chat, I don't think it's meant to be clear, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm still making my mind up there.
I think the plot not being clear, I think that's fine, because then that can be cleared up. But then stuff like this, where this is probably not going to get cleared up or answered in the future, Like, is that just me being dumb and just not understanding the situation, or is that, me, Shane understood it, but me and you, Phil, and then we didn't quite understand it, and other people in the chat that did understand it, didn't understand it, whatever. So maybe
I could be way off. It could just be like my Star Trek brain is going, oh, they materialized slightly off center, so they're in the wall of the spacecraft. But I could be completely wrong.
You could. You know what I think about this whole thing? Maybe it's purposely been left to interpretation. I just, when we do that, I just hope that everyone does that along with us. Just, if they don't, next time. Okay, guys, I think that's it. I think we should get onto our scores. Tell everyone what we think, and it looks like there's been quite a few people that have read along with us this week as well. So please tell us your scores in the chat. You know what goes on by now. We will add your scores together, get an average for that, and then add it to our score. Will this go in the top 10? We've got 3 spaces left on the leaderboard in total. Where are they gonna go? So yeah, let us know what you think. So Shane, please kick us off with your thoughts.
I'm torn because I enjoyed a majority of this book, but there was a few things that really put me off, like say the ending with the jumping to the present. I was down for an 80s book. You want to throw crazy time travel stuff in there, keep it in the 80s, because that's where my nostalgia lives, and I would have enjoyed it a lot more had it finished in the 80s as well. Also, it's not a complete trade, which is one of my pet peeves. It ends on a actual to be continued, and that annoys me when I read a trade.
It's like a good Fairyland.
We're not going there, Phil. And I think Mac, for me, just she lost me instantly with her mouth. There was just no need to have that sort of vulgarity come out of a 12-year-old girl. I know that's how people spoke in the 80s, but that's how people spoke in the 80s. You didn't write this book in the 80s, you wrote it in 2015. Yes, it's set in the 80s, but you don't have to copy everything that's said in the 80s in a book when you write it today. So she lost me. Art is great because Cliff Chiang is great. Colors are amazing. The book overall, it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I was just let down by the ending, but that's a personal thing where I wasn't expecting them to jump to the present, or 99, I think it was. So to be fair to the book, I enjoyed it. I'm going to keep the score that I wrote down as soon as I finished reading it, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Nice. Great. Okay. Thank you very much. We've got 1 score so far. Hopefully there'll be a few more coming in. Phil, over to you.
So I'm the same as Shane, only that I'm the opposite of Shane. I enjoyed the end. I enjoyed the fact that they time traveled, they time jumped to the 90s, and you had that kind of big reveal. That's what's make me want to read on, to be honest. Again, as for Mac, she was my favorite character because, again, I think there's just more to her. I think it's all up front, the whole kind of attitude thing, and I think you'll see more about her. In terms of the complete trade, I agree as well. Whilst I don't need a start, middle, and the end for every trade, I just feel like this is too open, and we're just it's not even a cliffhanger. We're just left with too much still to be, could have been done with volume 1. But overall, a good time. I think this volume was maybe more focusing on the characters and putting the people in place and get to know them a bit more and put them as a team. And here's what's happening. Let's go solve it, type of thing. And you just need to read on. And I think there's 30 issues.
Yep.
In total. And I think I'd like to read them. So that's obviously a good thing. So I've got 2 scores here, and talking about it has made me pick the higher of the 2. I'm going to go with a 7 as well.
Nice. Interesting. What was the lowest score?
6.5. So that wasn't too far.
A bit of a wiggle.
My thing was, I think 6.5 seems too low. It's a bad book. Where 7 was is it too high? So I just went with 7 because it seems good.
Okay, cool.
And the art was good as well.
We've got 2 scores in the chat so far, so this is the last chance now to get them in before we close the gates. My thoughts. The biggest thing for me, and especially after talking about it with you guys now, things just aren't very clear for me here and there. And it's probably my own issue, but I don't know. I felt like I've read a lot of stuff lately, and I haven't had this clarity problem. So maybe it is just the book. Like Shane said, the art's great. My favourite thing about the art were the colours and how contrasting it all was, and just how everything just popped. Everything was really fun to look at that way, and it just kind of had, even though I'm not from the 80s, it had that 80s vibe. And I could acknowledge and appreciate that. The ending of this volume, I can see Shane's point of view. It's a bit frustrating that it just ends like that and isn't like a finished arc, but I don't think this was written as an arc. This is a full 30-page story, and they've just released it in 5-issue chunks, and I also think that's not on for how this book should be read. It should be read in either 10s or the whole thing in one go. I didn't have a favourite character. You guys have, Shane, you said you don't like Mac. Bill, you said you do like Mac. I'm just indifferent to pretty much all of them. They're just, they're good together, but I'm not leaning towards one more than another. And that's pretty much it. I enjoyed the writing, good premise of the story. I love time travel, so I'm always up for a bit of that. So I'm hoping we delve more into that in the future. And I do want to read on, despite me having those clarity issues. So I'm also going to give it a 7.
Whoa!
This is a very rare opportunity, everyone, for us to give it the same score throughout. Right, there we go. So I've got a few more scores in. So let me just write those down. And there we've got that. Great. So while I'm doing this, guys, you genuinely, Shane, would you read on? Really?
If I didn't have anything else to read, if I was looking for something, no, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, this would be like on the top of my list, to read on when I've run out of everything else that I'm reading.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean that in a nasty way. That I mean, I'm trying to say that in a compliment way, like where it's on the stack for me to get to. I will get to volume 2, but I have more important things to read at the moment. When I finish that, when I have time.
Has reading this volume made you want to watch the series?
Oh God, no! Dear Lord, no! Not a chance.
Okay, scores are done. Connie, I'm going to give this one a 7. Thank you very much. James, I didn't mind. It. It was different to what I usually read. Scenes with girls were good, and the art was interesting, so it's a 6 from me. Thank you very much. Lewis, I enjoyed the book. The art especially, not my usual, but enjoyed the change. 6.5. Dean is an 8 for the book and a 9 for Phil's new hair.
Just a 9?
Not a 10. It's because you didn't put your gel in. That's what it was.
That's
7.5 from Chris. And Martin says, I did enjoy this volume. The art was cool, especially the colours that were used. For me, it's done its job as a volume 1, as I will read on. It's a 7 from me. So, adding all of those scores together, thank you very much again, everyone. You have given us the total average, wait for it, boys, of 7 out of 10.
No
way.
That
mean?
So let's add it up, okay? So we've got my 7, and then we've got Shane's 7, and then we've got Phil's 7, and then if we add that to your guys' 7, and we divide all that by 4, we get 7 out of 10.
Wow. This has never happened before. We've never all scored a book the same, including the herd.
This is amazing. So, right, for the more seasoned viewers, we know that this has not hit the top 10, but we will show you anyway. Here it is. Secret War is the lowest of our top 10 with 8.3 at the moment. And here is the rest of the leaderboard. So where does 7 out of 10 hit? It becomes joint 17th with Batman and Battle for the Cowl. There we go. Joint 17th for a 7 out of 10 book. 17th.
Wow, you've got to score high to get into the top 10.
I know. Right, but yeah, there we go. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. There's only one more thing to do now, and that is to tell you what we've got coming up next. It is Phil's pick. It's his last pick of the season, and then it's over to the herd's choice to pick our final book of the season. But let's stop talking and let's show you what we got coming up next. There we go, Philip. Please do enlighten all the podcast listeners what we're going to be talking about next week.
Speaking of top 10 contenders, next week we have the Magic Order by Mark
It
Miller.
looks lovely.
That looks fantastic.
Does look
it's
really
Olivia Coppel, I think, is the artist, I believe.
Right.
Gorgeous.
Nice. But there we go. There we have it. We're going to be talking about the Magic Order next week. We're already getting some comments saying that it's a good choice. So yes, there we go. Our very last thing to do now is to get our waves out and say goodbye. So thank you, everyone. See you next week. Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye everyone.
Love you.